In the past week, I've become something of a buffalo chip connoisseur. The perfect specimen has the circumference of a baseball cap, with folded layers like a sheik's turban. It's as dense as a ginger snap cookie, with the color and texture of old cardboard that's been wet and dried out again. Of course, when I say buffalo chip, I'm talking about buffalo dung, or what's left of vegetation after it passes through the digestive circuitry of North America's largest native land animal, also known as the American bison or bison. These chips will burn with an orange-colored halo of flame surrounding a coal-black center. They let off a good heat, not many sparks, and a blue-hued smoke that smells nothing like you'd expect it to. At times, I've dipped my face into the smoke and picked up the odors of cinnamon and cloves, dried straw and pumpkins, and sometimes the smell of walking into a bathroom after someone smoked a joint. If I were to leave my buffalo chip fire right now, it would take me about a half hour to stomp my way through the thickets of spruce and alder that separate me from the Chetasleena River, a fast-flowing torrent of glacial runoff that drains a collection of 14,000-foot peaks in the Wrangell Mountains of south-central Alaska. If I tossed a stick into the Chetasleena River, it would drift through 3 miles of narrow canyon before dumping into the cold gray swirl of the much larger Copper River. From there, the stick would flow more or less southward, past a couple of small villages and dozens of fish traps that were recently dragged onto the banks by their owners to save them from the crushing flows of winter ice. After dodging past mountains and winding through canyons, the stick would enter the Gulf of Alaska outside of Prince William Sound. As the crow flies, or as is more likely in these parts, the raven, that's about 80 miles from here. Along the way, the crow would cross one 2-lane highway and any number of wolves, coyotes, lynx, black bears, grizzly bears, wolverines, mountain goats, Dall sheep, and moose. And perhaps a herd or two of wandering buffalo. Earlier in the morning, there were about 20 of them in this valley. One of them, a cow or female, is now lying just uphill from me within arm's reach. Probably about 600 pounds of hide, bone, horn, and innards. Another 400 or 500 pounds of meat. When it fell dead after I shot it, it slid down the steep slope across the wet slush and crashed into a snag of aspen trees. I've been working on it all day. I made skinning cuts up the legs and then opened the carcass from the underside of the tail to the chin before removing the entrails. With short, fast slices from my skinning knife, I pulled the hide away from the upper half of the carcass as if I were slowly turning down the covers of a bed. I skinned over the brisket, ribs, and paunch, then up and over the shoulder all the way to the animal's spine. If you touch the base of your own neck and feel the pebble-like shapes running up the center of your backbone, you're feeling the neural processes of your thoracic vertebra. On a buffalo, those things can be over 20 inches long. They act as a sort of mooring post for tendons that support the animal's shag-haired, curved-horned head. The hump gives the buffalo its distinctive look, its front-heavy, bulldozer, mass-shouldered appearance. I've been rationing my food for the last few days, and now I can eat all I want. I cut some slices of fat from behind the hump and then pull the hide back in place to keep the carcass from freezing too solid to work on. The fat has an orangish color, not like the white fat you see on grain fat and beef. The orange is from a diet of wild plants that are rich in fat-soluble carotene, the same substance that colors a carrot. The heat of the fire liquefies the fat and leaves the cracklings floating in the oil of my pan like if you melted hard candy and all the wrappers came to the surface. Whenever a crackling becomes rendered out, I pinch it out with the pliers on my Leatherman and blow on it until it's cooled off and crispy. I was keeping my salt in a film canister sealed with duct tape, but sometime over the last week, when I was crossing a river or standing in the rain or snow, the salt got wet. I scrape a chunk out with my knife and then grind it back into grains between my fingers. With a bit of salt, the cracklings taste like pork rinds, but much better. They taste wilder.